Okay, so I might have went a little overboard on the portion size of my breakfast burritos here, but I'm hungry. Hello, friends, family, total strangers. Today's video, or tonight's, I should say, tonight's video is my questions and answers video, volume 3. So I got a ton of great questions. Thank you all for putting in your questions. So I'm going to get right into it. So Antonella D asks, do you think you will ever get an RV or a travel trailer? And she also asks, do you ever have any regrets about leaving a traditional life behind to do seasonal work and live in a van? So let's start with the first question. Do you think you will ever get an RV or a travel trailer? Probably not. I mean, maybe. Who knows? Who knows what the future holds? I am definitely not a planner. I don't plan. I just figure it out as I go. So I probably, I'll be in this for as long as it suits me, and then we'll figure it out from there. Second question was, do you have any regrets about leaving a traditional life behind to do seasonal work and live in a van? That's funny. I'm going to do a whole video on my life before the van. But I really didn't have a traditional life before that. I worked for the first maybe 10 years of my work career was doing seasonal work, just going from, but I didn't live in a van. I would just go from seasonal job to seasonal job. And then, really, I only had 2 years, the last 2 years, 2014 to 2016, of like a steady year-round job doing the same thing. That was being an inventory manager. And during that time, the first year, I lived in an apartment with 3 other guys because rent's so high here in Jackson. And the other year, I actually lived in a warehouse. I had a little room off of a warehouse. And so I was already getting minimal and everything. So it really wasn't as big a transition as it is for most people. So no regrets, obviously. No regrets. And that was Antonella D. Next question is from... I think it's Yarnbird. Unfortunately, I cut off the name, but it has to do with yarn. Yarn, yeah. Anyway, did you ever think about collaborating with another popular YouTuber to do an interview on your van and lifestyle? And then they go on to talk about Crystal Vanner, how her channel blew up after the interview with Bob Wells. So that's actually how I have all the subscribers that I have right now. I ran into, about a week before the RTR, I ran into Wanna Be Free, and he did an interview with me, and that got me my first non-family subscribers. And then when I was at the RTR, I ran into Wandering Jimmy. So Wanna Be Free had about 2,000 subscribers at the time. Wandering Jimmy had 3,500. And I ran into him, and we just met. Like, I didn't know who he was before that. I interviewed him for a little video, and then he ended up interviewing me for his channel, and that was another big boost. I got quite a few subscribers from him. And then on the cork board, like the big board at the RTR, Crystal Vanner had a card up, and at the time she had about 5,000 subscribers and was looking for people to interview, so I emailed her and she ended up interviewing me. And so that's pretty much how I have all my subscribers, is from those 3. And then I also when I was there, they would do they would talk to, Bob Wells would talk to everybody. And he said, if you, are interested in being interviewed, to talk to his assistant. And so I did that. And I actually did get interviewed by Bob Wells. He did 2 interviews with me, one on my jobs and work history, and one on the van, like a van tour. And they just haven't aired yet. So he's going to air them. He takes like this big video, or the whole RTR weekend, he just shoots video after video, and then he just releases them throughout the year, which is a great idea. I mean, it works good for him. So, however, I have to wait until he airs mine. But I think after those air, I'll probably get quite a few more subscribers. So that is in the future. I did do 2 interviews with Bob Wells, and he even talked to me about doing a collaboration afterwards, like back in February, but we just weren't able to connect for it. But oh well. Anyway, the sun's kind of. Let me see if I can adjust so I'm not just light on half the face. So, Your Pleasure 721 asks, at what age do you think you will quit van living? Again, I don't plan ahead. I just make it up as I go. So I have absolutely no idea. And for me, like, van living isn't... I don't even really consider myself a van dweller. I consider myself a traveler who's using a van to travel out of. And so, if you're asking how long do I think at what age do I think I'll quit traveling? I'm never going to quit traveling until I get to an age where I either can't physically do it or I'm dead. So I love traveling, and also if that refers to will I go back to having like a full-time year-round job, I'm never going back to a full-time year-round job. That will not happen. Unless circumstances force me that way financially that I have to do it. But I would say there's a good chance that I'm never going to work for full-time year-round ever again. So new Normatic asks, how old is Jax? He's about 1.5 years old, maybe a little older than that now. So about 1.5 years. Tina Bean has 3 questions for me. How are things going with Mr. Jax while you are working? They're going good, so I'm taking him to doggy daycare. Doggy daycare, that's Dog Jax is the name of the place. And it's worked out really well. He has a lot more fun there than he would just sitting here, for 8 to 11 hours, however long my shift is. So I'm really glad to have that service. Jax's mom is paying for it. It's about $400 a month. But it's really opened my eyes that having a dog is a feasibility if I want. That I can have a dog in the van and I can take him to dog daycare. And I mean, that's not outrageous. That's way less than what rent would be. And I'm not paying rent because I'm living in a van. So that's definitely a possibility. And it's opened up the possibility for me for having a dog, because then, when I have these jobs in towns, I could just board him while I'm working. And then she also asked, did you test out van life before you took the leap? I didn't. But again, I was already moving towards minimalism, and before I moved into the van, I was living in a warehouse, a room off of a warehouse. And I didn't have very much stuff, so I didn't put anything in storage. Whatever I couldn't fit in the van, I just got rid of. So, I mean, for me, it just... No, I didn't test it out. It wasn't. I knew what I needed to live, and I knew that it would not be a big adjustment for me, and I knew that I would be much happier not working 12 months out of the year, which is, yes, I'm much happier not working 12 months out of the year. And her final question, this was Tina Bean, is what are you doing for healthcare? Nothing. I am rolling the dice. I have no healthcare. And I have plans to try to fix that in the future. And I'm going to do a whole video on healthcare and kind of what your options are and whatnot. But yeah, right now I just don't have health insurance. When things come up, I just pay for them out of pocket. And hopefully not, you know, and obviously that's not going to work if like my pancreas goes out or I have appendicitis or something like that. That's going to be, I need to figure something out before that happens. But right now I'm winging it. Next question. Let's scroll. This is from Sunny Rudder. If you found a town you liked enough to stay and had the means to do so, would you open your own little cafe? What type of cuisine would you most enjoy enriching your customers' lives with? Well, if I was to open a restaurant, it would be right here in Jackson. I have a connection with this community, and I love Jackson, and this would be the place that I opened a restaurant. Absolutely, Jackson Hole, Wyoming. As for the type of place it would be, this town really needs a cheap lunch/dinner place. There's not a lot of good options for that. And it really needs a noodle place, so that's exactly what I would do. I would probably do some sort of Thai street noodle. Not pad Thai. It would be like soup noodles, kitiao or something. I would do some sort of Thai noodle restaurant. Or even Vietnamese noodle restaurant. Or some combination. And, yeah, just a cheap noodle place. This town really needs a cheap noodle place. And I love noodles. This question is from J.R. Quinn. Do you think windows in the back are important, and does your van have enough ground clearance? I don't think windows in the back are important. I don't have windows in the back. But I wouldn't buy or not buy a van because of the whole window situation back here. Like, I would just, if it was a vehicle that I liked and it had the miles that I wanted, I would just buy it, and then I would figure out if I want to, you know, put something up to block out the windows. But having windows and not having windows, they both have their advantages and disadvantages, and to me it's a push. Like, either way is fine. And then, do I have enough ground clearance? I think I do. You know, for the places that I want to get to, there's been a couple of times I've been limited, but not much. The Transit Connect has such a close wheelbase. It is almost better than having clearance is having a close wheelbase. I can get most places with this thing. You know, what does limit somewhat is not having four-wheel drive. I would rather have four-wheel drive than more clearance because, you know, for mud and stuff. But yeah, that's that. Lily Mack asks, have you had formal music training? What drew you to the banjo? I have not had formal music training. I've taught myself all my instruments, which means I've had a crappy teacher who didn't know what he was doing. So maybe it took me longer, but I'll get more into that in a future video about my, yeah, I'm going to do a video on my music, kind of how I've gotten where I am. But yeah, I picked up the banjo for the first time in, was it I think it was November of the year 2000. I bought a banjo. I had a guitar, and crappy one, and I sold it, and I was going to buy a better guitar. And I walked into the music store, and there was a banjo on the wall, and I essentially impulse bought a banjo. And it worked out great. And so next question is from Glenn Higginbotham. Do you do music shows or open mic nights? Since I've been on the road, I've done one open mic. I hate open mics because the sound's always terrible. I'm an acoustic musician, and open mics generally aren't set up for acoustic musicians. They're set up for people who can plug in. And that's why I bought my little guitar, so I could plug in for open mics, but I still haven't done that. But yeah, there is one here in Jackson that I used to play all the time while I was here, and I will play it later this summer, and I'll definitely do a video on it too. It's called the Hootenanny. It's an acoustic open mic, so you can't even plug in. They have a great microphone. It sounds great, and the audience isn't allowed to talk while you're playing. And so it's actually a really intimidating environment to play in. But it's a great environment because people are actually listening to you. Nobody's talking over you. You know, and the sound is beautiful. So it's a great open mic. It's more for like folk and bluegrass and blues and things like that. But it's awesome. I really like playing at it. And I will probably do that later in the summer once Jax is out of the picture. I just don't have anywhere to put him during the Hootenanny. But I haven't really done any professional gigs. So yeah, no shows. I played for one show at the Center for the Arts, and we ended up not even getting paid for it. Me and my band that we formed at the Hootenanny, a couple friends of mine, but one of them moved away, and so the band kind of fell apart. Do I ever go fishing? This question is from Diane Gaddis. Not much. I do have a fishing pole, and when I'm here in Wyoming, I can get a in-state license, which isn't too expensive. But when I'm traveling, licenses are just too expensive. Non-resident licenses are, yeah. I don't fish on the road really. Be More Online asks, when did you first pick up a banjo and play? I guess, yeah, I already answered that. The year 2000. Howdy Blazes asks, did you have a period before this current one with the transit when you wandered? Not really. I mean, I worked seasonal jobs for a while, and then I worked at a seasonal resort year-round for like 11 years. That was at Signal Mountain. And then the last couple of years at Signal Mountain, I used to take a month off to travel. I went to Europe a couple times, which was awesome. But nothing like this, no. I did the seasonal job thing where I'd work a winter job and then a summer job and a winter job and a summer job, and I did that for years. But I never had a full-on, like, wandering period until now. Next question is from Freedom Tribe, and that is, if you could be any animal, what animal would you be and why? Well, obviously a dolphin. Or seals. Seals are cool as well. They just both seem like they have a lot of fun. That's why. Diana Reynolds asks, did you feel better mentally when you started this lifestyle? You know, I was in a pretty good mental state before I started the lifestyle, but just having all the extra time to myself and the time to just the opportunity to put my time and energy into the things that I really enjoy has been amazing. So definitely made me feel better mentally. Yeah, I love having that extra time to myself. It's awesome. Um, John Tricola also asked about the banjo. So yeah, I've already answered that, but I'm going to do a whole video on my music history, how I got into music, and the kinds of music I'm into. I'm going to get into that in a future video. So the final question is from John McNaughton. He asks, here's my question, Toby. When are we getting together for a beer or wine? So John McNaughton is a friend of mine that he was one of my first friends at Signal Mountain back in the year 2000, so 18 years ago, and he lives here in Jackson. So give me a text, John. I'll give you a text. I'll give you a text. I would love to get a beer with you, or wine, either one. Sounds great. So yeah, that's my video. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment. This ended up being really long, but oh well. So, bye.